how did you hotkey the brushes now again in ZBrush?
They're already hotkeyed, right?
Yeah, but if you want to make a new hotkey, it's Shift, Control, and right click.
I don't know actually.
What? Wait, what? What was the question?
Hotkeying ZBrush brushes.
Hotkey. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck that! I'm a noob. I click everything.
Yeah.
I put everything on my interface and tab it.
There's for the existing brushes, there are always this like pressing B, and then like you have the like for clay buildup, it's like CB.
Okay.
And
I
for
just have like all of the
Tillman and
brushes I use the most on my UI.
Yeah.
To customize the UI, there's a up here in the preferences, a config, and then you do like the enable customize, and then you use, I think, is it Control Shift or no Control? Yeah, like Alt Control and just drag it somewhere and drop it, and then go back, disable customize, and store config. And I realize I have 2 delete hidden here. So. That's the only problem with the new ZBrush versions, that I never transfer my menus. So I always make it like start up fresh.
Oh no.
All right. I don't have a like finished grass solution, but I think I'm gonna do like a quick vertex shader thing that we could develop. Maybe that would be something.
Didn't you say last time that you had some video or something that we were going to post about grass?
No, I made some experiments, and they're
Oh.
like on the way, but it's not before I make a video on a new subject, I don't want to make like a rant where I go on and try different things that doesn't work. So I'm gonna figure it out first, and then I make the video.
Yeah, cool.
But I do love vertex shaders, and I think that's definitely the way to go for most effects like that. And also I've done a lot of like subsurface and like inside the body stuff. So I use the world position offset a lot, and I have some baked like sinus and cosinus textures, which looks like a rainbow. But you can also use like yeah, I'm gonna make a small example here. I'm gonna take away these. Let's make a bunch of these ones. Like little soldiers.
Are you recording again, or did you
Yeah,
stop?
yeah. It started again. I started again.
Okay.
Thanks. It's great that you remind me, because I'm quite distrait. I don't know the word, but I sometimes forget things and get carried away. All right. So world position offset is like pushing and pulling, moving vertices in world space. So for instance, if you do like a world position, and mask is a really fast operator that only like removes the other components of the vector. So if I do a mask for red here, same as x, we will only get a float out that is the x coordinate. And since units in Unreal are centimeters, I want to make this into meters by multiplying with 0.01 just for starters. And then, okay, just to make an even simpler example to start with. make vector 3 float 3 for them. And into y, I will put something like a parameter. Y offset. Compile it. And I guess most of you probably know this, but I always use instances because they don't have to recompile when you change a parameter. So with the simple now I'm just inputting a y offset into my vertex position offset. So it's just a linear offset, but just to get to show kind of what it is. So you could probably make I even saw that someone made like an Arkanoid game only in shader. Anyway, okay, so if you take the world position, mask the x, for instance, make it into meters, and you put that into a sign, and you multiply that sign with something, or it just would be like 1 centimeter back and forth. So maybe start with the meter 100, and I make a parameter of this one, amplitude y, into y. I start to dislike the lighting here a lot. Just to make it more clear what's going on. And I'll assign this material to this one too. Material flow instance. All right. Maybe even put the skyscraper in there. No. All right. So this is a sign on world position X applied to the Y space. Amplitude. Since the result of sign is between 1 and -1, you have to multiply it to get what kind of effect you want. So this is quite good, but it's not moving. So if you want to move it, you could add time. To the sign input. Time. Just a quick note just before, if you're using time and use a multiplier, you will not get a smooth change when you change the speed, because it will multiply the whole number of the time. So it will jitter, so to speak, if you change it. So there's a couple of different ways around that, but I'll make an easy one first. Okay. No multiply, add. And also in math, I mean offset is an add, and multiply is not what you want here. But even I saw that in the quick sale default material, they actually had a multiply instead of an add for the offset, which is remarkable. So here we have something moving. I mean, it's very uniform still, but the way I usually do it, like how like Perlin noise is built up, is by adding a bunch of signs together. I'm making this like in 1D now, just to make it more not too complex in the example. But of course, you can do it in 3D. So I'm going to change this name to amplitude 1 and promote this one, speed 1, and then I can take this whole thing, comment it, first wave, duplicate it, add. So since the sign goes from -1 to 1, the size of the effect will not will grow some maybe, but when the waves peaks meet, but it will be centered around 0. So the wave will pretty much only get more complex, not grow so much in amplitude. So I'm going to change this one to amplitude 2. I'm going to change this one to speed 2. So if I make this like 3 times as fast, and the amplitude 1/3, like 33, apply. And we'll probably always want to add some kind of offset so they're not completely aligned, but wave to offset in centimeters. Let's put the random number.
Is this how you like? Right now you're showing how it should look like if you look down into the water from above?
I mean,
Or
not necessarily. I'm just making a quick demo on how to you can kind of deform stuff. This is not, I would not, if I did something like floating in the water, I would make a 3D 3D effect. So this is just on one axis. It could work for like if you just need like a slight movement or something, but if you make like a big movement, this will be very obvious that is like a 1D curve. But you can yeah, you can easily make
what,
a if you okay.
what can you if you can give me an example for what you can use it for?
Yeah,
In
for
which type of scenario?
yeah, like stuff floating in the water, for instance. So if I have this like kind of grass type stuff here, I aligned I made the UV so that the V, they're all like based on V0 and moving up into V1, and that way I could mask the motion, not to apply to the part that's sitting on the bottom, for instance. But if something is like just floating in the floating around, um, you could just apply it all over. So I'm going to do a quick mask here and just multiply this whole effect by the V coordinate. So I get the texture coordinate like that. I mask the G, which would be the V component of the UV, and I multiply. I think I will have to do like 1 minus or something here, but so what this does when I multiply the effect is that if this value is 0, you will get no deformation, and if it's 1, you will get the full deformation that's coming in here. Yeah, 1 minus. So invert 1 minus, and that would depend on if you have your UV coming from, you know, up or down. But these kind of simple kind of simple sign-based effects are really nice for like subtle motion. It's not when you try to do like strong wind or something, it will kind of not look very good. Here we start to get something. But what happens now is like it's just swaying on the Y. That could be easily fixed by using the cosine. I don't know how much of the trigonometry you remember from school, but make a quick one on this. Ellipse tool. Some lines. All right. Not perfect, but anyway. So this is a sphere or like a circle on a grid, and this is 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1. Okay, so the sign is this one. So if you have an angle, that is like, I don't know, 15 or like 30 degrees, then the sign will be this value, like the Y component of this point up here, and the cosine will be this value. I might, you know, I might be sometimes could be the other way around, but I think sine of degree 0 is 1 and cosinus of degree 0 is 0. So I think it's sine up here, sine and cosine. So if you feed a value, like a wandering value, into a sine and a cosine, you will get a spinning, or you will do a circle. So if I take this one amplitude and put it 0, amplitude to 0, and I add a cosine here, same value in, multiply that one, and this goes into x. Then the tips of the grass will make like circles instead. So I mean, it's still a very simple, like simplistic effect between only one sine and cosine, but it's you can layer some waves and make for the kind of passive movement. Like I said, you could always also use a texture like a tiling RGB with different noise patterns in R, G, and B, um, and you can use them instead of the sine and cosine. Does it make sense? I mean, I realize this is kind of it at first glance it looks kind of complicated, but when you get the hang of it, if you want to try stuff like this, it's not that bad. And a lot of times layering 3 waves usually is quite good, depending on what you're doing, but and also, as always with like problem solving, turn off everything that you're not working on to see, because a lot of times maybe you miss the connection um, or something. So just gonna see what each part of the effect is doing, and I mean that's true for shaders or blueprinting or whatever. And also when layering waves, a lot of times I don't want to use numbers that I want to use numbers that don't are equally divided by each other. So I won't use like 1 and 10 and 100 and stuff like that, because then when the waves meet, all the waves will meet at the same time and produce like a really huge effect. All right, I think that I will leave that for now, and I will get back to this and make a video on some grass stuff when I have figured out the other way. The kind of the takeaway from this one is, yeah, it's quite easy to use like sine and stuff like that to drive a world position offset, and also like designing your using all the input you got. So if you have making something that's like going to be stuck in one end, lay out the UVs in a way that you can that you can use. So this is the base of the grass. So then I will know that V is 0 down here. Or for some reason it was inverted, but I don't know. So kind of pass along information to yourself along the process. Any questions on this?